and gentlemen, welcome to a new video. It has been a while, but all of the school stress is kind of gone and I have time to make videos again, which is really lovely. Also, I have a new phone on which I am recording better video quality. I hope you can notice how pretty I am right now. But also I haven't figured out how to work the microphone into it yet. I think the sound is good on my phone, but just let me know if you think it's good, if you think it's not good. But that is not why I clicked this video. You saw the title and you're probably like, what is going on with Roy? What did he sniff? What did he smoke? Why would you agree with someone like Ben Dolic to not return? Well, that is what we're talking about today. It's going to be a bit of a rant, a bit of like an opinionated thing. I asked my people on Twitter what they wanted to see. They said a rant video, so here we are. Let's jump into it. Now, firstly, let me tell you this. I was really sad when Eurovision got cancelled, and I think a lot of people were. And as such, also artists were upset and unsure whether they would be picked again or if they weren't going to be picked again. And we've seen a bit of a trend where some artists have been asked to return and they usually got internally selected, and some other artists have not been allowed to return, and those are mostly from national finals. And that's kind of the difference where I want to talk about, because that is where everything lies. Now see, Ben Dolic was internally selected, but in a very different way. They had like an open submission and a lot of people sent in songs, and they had like a pool and a few people that were judging all of the songs and said, okay, these are good, let's have these left over and let's vote on which song is the best. And internally they did that. So it is kind of a national final, but internal. And Ben Dolic was the winner. And what a song it was. Violent Thing is really good. Very slick. It fits his voice really well. But here is the big but. Imagine you being a delegation. Why would or why wouldn't you reselect an artist? You have the one side of the moral spectrum saying, okay, they deserve the spot because they got the spot last year, so they should go again. But on the other side, you want to do well in the contest, and if you have a worse song, you will get compared to what you did last year. You will be maybe having a lesser result last year. But how do we know if we get a better song or not? I think in Ben Dolic's case, he has not really proven himself yet to be an all-round artist. He doesn't have a massive discography. He nailed it with this song. He absolutely nailed it. But his voice is really intriguing and really difficult to write a good song around. And you could say, okay, we do a national final with one artist, that being Ben Dolic. But I'm not sure that would work with him. I don't think he fully knows yet where his sound lies, where his vocals fit in the best. And keep in mind, Germany did not pick the artist, they picked the song. And I feel like they want to do it again. I think it is incredible that he's gonna try it again. But I also really agree with Germany here. I would even go as far to say that I can do one better on Germany and that I encourage their decision. I think it is good that a young artist like Ben Dolic is getting protected in this way. So let's say he submits a song again, and it being compared to his last year's song is very likely. It being worse than his last year's song, we don't know that, but very likely. He's got a unique voice. It's difficult to fit that to any sort of song that appeals to a lot of people. You protect the guy by saying, okay, you need to prove yourself again next year. If you don't have the correct song, we could maybe flop in the final, and that doesn't really help your career either. So the question is, do you want to go to Eurovision with maybe having 0 points in the final? I don't think so. And so for Germany to say, okay, we love that you did it and we love that you had an amazing song, but I think it is better to try again with a new song and be reselected again through the entire process. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now you can say that is just Ben Dolic. What about the rest? You can apply Ben Dolic case to Axel and Ben from Finland and Denmark respectively, I think. They are young artists who probably haven't found their voice yet. They haven't found what they want to make in music yet. Their discography is just not rich and big enough for you to be sure, okay, their song next year will be great as well. And so in a way, they will be protected from that. So let's say they would be selected again. Let's take Ben and Tam, for example. And they come out with a song that is not as well produced and that is not as coherent as Yes was. Yes was really good, but it really worked in that situation. Would you want to put them on the stage? Because that would probably hurt their career more than it would benefit them. And I think it makes a lot of sense for them to go back into the competition and then win again with a song. Because again, Denmark went for the song, Finland went for the song, not for the artists. And I feel it is a really good thing that those artists need to prove themselves again. You could even say it about Uku Sufiste, but maybe in a lesser extent because he did prove himself before, because he's been like in the top in both years that he participated. But still, his discography isn't very big and it doesn't really show that he has a definite better song next year or a definite song that will not hurt his career next year. So again, another case to where I would say, okay, it's kind of good that they protected the artist from just submitting a song and hope for the best. I think it's quite a good idea. Yeah, there's been quite a lot of controversial stuff already. So let's go through two of them that didn't get selected again, real quick. Tom Leeb, he's just busy next year, can't do Eurovision. Simple decision on his part. It's cool that France going back to a national selection. They just wanted to try with Tom Leeb. He can't go next year. Simple as that. Sandro, apparently the delegation wasn't really keen on how the collaboration with each other worked. And they already had a plan set in last year to work with Ivi Adamu. And so that's probably what they're going to do this year. Because if he wasn't able to go this year, and if you already signed a contract on that, you cannot really do anything about that, really. So those two were really quick, just that's why they're not returning. It's not really, you cannot really argue that, I guess. There is a different sort of artist that didn't get selected. And in that category, we have Damir Kedjo, we have Ulrike Brandstorp, and we have The Roop, for example. All three of those cases, they won their national selection, and you could say they have a discography to back it up to be good. Like, for example, Anna Soklic has a really broad discography already, and it's very likely that she'll do well, and she has an amazing voice, very likely that will be a good song. In the case of Damir Kedjo, he could have the same. He's made some music, he's been popular for a while now, and yes, he could be internally selected again. But Dora just returned last year, and last year was not very strong overall. This year, we already saw a massive improvement from last year. Do you then say, okay, we're not doing Dora this year, we're gonna select Damir Kedjo and just hold the progress that they were making? They were going on an upward trend, right? And we don't know how far that upward trend is going to go, but it was upwards. And if you halt it at that point, will people lose interest to invest? Will the project like go down again because, you know, less artists will be triggered to go for it? And I think that is something to really keep in mind. Those competitions are very young, very new, a very new direction that they want to take with the competition. And is it worth it to say stop to that competition for 1 year to potentially hurt future products, future improvements into the contest? Because essentially you're just pausing that entire thing for a year and then go again. In essence, you're 1 year behind, or you need to overtake the big gap that like gets bigger from the other national selections that will just choose an answer from national final. The gap will just get bigger to get back to that, and I'm not sure if you want that as a country or a delegation. I think it makes a lot of sense to just continue with that new format, or at least try and see what that will bring you. Because we've seen Lithuania had an amazing year this year. We've seen Dora. I mean, they still have a long way to go, but it was definitely improvement from last year. And in the case for Norway, it's an entire new project. They did a very different thing this year, and maybe it wasn't as smooth or as worked out as before. But Ulrich already stated herself that she isn't even sure if she can produce a song that she feels so much more connected to as Attention was. And do you really want her to give a definite free pass? Okay, you're going next year? I don't know. I personally would probably also say, okay, let's continue with the trend we're going on. It's starting to look good. And let them try again. Damir just teamrolled the competition this year. He could do it again. Maybe he will. But then also, the rest of the competition doesn't get hurt by just picking him internally. Maybe he won't win, but then we just know that he didn't have the best song. Again, they went for the song, not the artist. And it sucks for the artist, but you need to keep in mind that delegation just want the best. They just want to represent their country the best. They just don't want to look like a failure on the podium, if that makes sense. I mean, there was a time where people did want that, but not anymore. And then there is the case for the national selections that have like prestige. I name a Melody Festival, and do you say, okay, Melody Festival is going to go through, but Eurovision is not on the line? I don't think a lot of artists would submit a song that way, because most of every year's Melfest are artists that we already know, and they just want to get to Eurovision. That's why they participate in Melfest. If you then say for 1 year, okay, no, the Mamas can get another song, that really, really hurts the competition in the long run. And maybe, yes, you get new voices, but and the same with Sanremo. You cannot just cancel Sanremo. That's just more than a selection show. Same with Festival de Kungus. And we that hasn't been confirmed that they're both like fully out, I think. They just said, okay, we're just gonna have another edition of Sanremo. We're gonna have another edition of Festival de Kungus. And interesting, because I don't think you can just cancel those shows and just say, okay, you can go. And especially in Festival de Kungus, the contest has modernized over the last couple of years. And to just say to Arilena, okay, you can go now, that would really demotivate a lot of the artists that were trying to get to Eurovision maybe and make a bigger career for themselves. And thus halt and maybe even drop the way they were going with the modernism. And I get behind that. I really get behind most of the delegations and why they made the decisions to not make an artist return. And then we get to the counter argument, because you can't just have one-way traffic of me saying, okay, it's justified that all of the selections do not choose the artist again. There are artists that have returned that were chosen for this song. And mainly that is Montaigne and Go A. I think that's it. Let me check that. Oh, and Samantha Tina. But Samantha Tina is yeah, I mean, all three of them kind of fall in the same category. Samantha Tina has like been making music for so long, and she finally starting to find a groove of what she really likes and what she's good at. So it makes sense to just make a national selection with all Samantha Tina songs. She's diverse. She has experimented with a lot of ways and a lot of directions. You can have a lot of different songs in that selection, and therefore can have a good grasp of what you can bring and just have a cool song. There's going to be multiple tastes to pick from. Same applies to Go A. Go A is a band that has a very broad discography and they experiment a lot. And you can have a very cool experimental song or just have something basic. They can just bring a lot of different flavors to the table. And I feel like that is something that the younger artists that are very new to the block and haven't really experienced anything or just fully know what their sound is like. I think it makes sense for Go A to be selected and to just have a national selection. And Vitbeer is always good, and it's not it is loved, but you still have it beer. But Go Away is just such a good artist that, people will get behind that. And that is a massive case in this instance, right? You have these already established artists or artists with a broad discography that are getting selected. And that makes a lot of sense because they can bring so much to the table and you get so much different flavors to choose from. Whereas the younger artists still don't really know what they want to do. And so it's very likely that like some foreign music writer, composer, gives them a song that they don't fully connect with. That's not what you want. That is really not what you want. Not as an artist, not as a delegation, not as a Euro fan, because the entire content gets dragged down by it. So in my opinion, all of the artists that didn't get selected, it's all justified. And I know it's tough and I know it sucks so much because the artists really want to go to Eurovision and it was a dream for a lot of them. But in some cases, it's just better that they get protected from it. And in some cases, it's just better for the overall quality of the song contest to grow, to just not pick the same artist, because there's a big chance of they comparing the song to last year. And with the internal selected artists, they were already internally selected. Everything that's happening right now, I think, makes quite a lot of sense. Now, there's still a lot to be confirmed, and there's still a lot to be said, okay, you can go or you cannot go. Anyway, I hope I brought over what I feel in a good way. And I hope you didn't get too upset by what I just said. And please, 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 I beg you, please, if you have a comment or if you disagree with me, keep it civil, keep it calm. I'm not a fan of people just shouting things. That just doesn't help at all. It never helps, and it has never helped. It just, I'm down for a conversation, bring it, but don't be offensive, don't shout things, okay? That's good. With that being said, I think this is the end of the video. I hope you liked the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. Make sure to like this video because I love making it, doing a bit of research as well. And make sure to follow me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, do all that kind of stuff. Recommend it to as many friends as possible that needs to see the other side of the argument, because I've seen a lot of one traffic way of like, oh, it makes no sense, the odds don't go selected, it's such BS, and there's more to it, guys. Yeah, I think that's it from me. Also, drop in the comments what you want to see next, because that really helps me get ideas. Anyways, that was it for me today. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.